My research topic is microbial fuel cells. I've been centering my research on the work done by Professor Bruce Logan at Penn State University and Professor Ioannis Europoulos at the University of Bristol. Microbial fuel cells have several important applications in retrieving energy from waste and are being developed for use in water treatment. Microbial fuel cells are fuel cells that use microbes to catalyze the reaction at either the anode or the cathode. The fuel for the cell is wastewater. Microbes consume and break down organic molecules at the anode, releasing electrons in the process, which are then captured by the cathode. Virtually any organic material can be used as fuel, making fuel cells ideal for water treatment. Urine is particularly good fuel, as it is very readily available and homogeneous. Whilst there's no single chemical reaction happening in the oxidation of wastewater, research done by the California Institute of Technology suggests that the largest contributor to electricity production from urine is the oxidation of organic molecules such as acetate. The reduction reaction at the cathode is usually the reduction of oxygen. The oxygen reduction is what drives the potential required to draw the electrons released by the microbes. The equilibrium potential of acetate oxidation is 0.187 volts. The potential of water reduction is 1.229 volts. So assuming only these two reactions are occurring in the cell, the total theoretical cell potential is 1.042 volts. Microbial fuel cells are theoretically capable of energy efficiency above 50%, which, considering the fuel is already a waste product, has the potential to greatly reduce any energy costs in waste treatment. The setup of a microbial fuel cell is very similar to the traditional fuel cell. Anode on one side, cathode on the other. Protons, also created in oxidation, travel to the cathode usually through a cation membrane, although there are some variations. Factors that influence MFC performance include the substrate being broken down, microorganism electron transfer mechanism, temperature, pH, electron acceptor, type of membrane, and electrode material. MFCs are operated between 20 and 40 degrees, so work at room temperature with no further energy inputs required. The microbes function best at a pH of 7, so pH regulators, such as phosphate buffers, are often used, particularly when using urine as fuel, which is naturally acidic and then becomes very basic in the anodic chamber after oxidation. The major influencer in the electrode material as the electrode is the electrode material, as the electrode kinetics is directly proportional to the MFC performance. Carbon-based anodes have been experimentally found to be the best option because they are chemically stable, compatible with the microbes, and conductive. Using brushes rather than rods increases surface area. Microbes form an electroactive biofilm, a thin layer on the electrode, so the larger the surface area of the electrodes, the more microbes can respire simultaneously. Metal-based anodes have also been investigated, as they are more conductive than the carbon options, and, unlike most microbes, the electrogens will form a film on the metal. The cathode was originally made of platinum, although research groups at Penn State have been using activated carbon to similar efficiencies and much reduced cost. Because the reduction of oxygen and the associated costs of catalyst is the same problem as in hydrogen fuel cells and metal air batteries, developments in this area will significantly reduce costs in all three areas. Traditional MFCs use oxygen as an electron acceptor, as it's highly available, can be taken directly from the air so costs nothing, and produces water as the end product. The downside of using oxygen is that it has a positive reduction potential, consuming some of the generated power. Other electron acceptors have been investigated, including permanganate, which has a power density of 115.6 milliwatts per meter squared, and ferrocyanide with a power density of 25.62 millivolts per meter squared. Ferrocyanide, whilst good for power generation, is not sustainably produced, difficult to recycle, and quite toxic. Permanganate has a much higher power density than oxygen or ferrocyanide, although it is soluble, so needs to be continuously replaced. Permanganate also gives higher power output in acidic conditions, so has the potential for use without pH buffers. Microorganisms gain the energy necessary for their function by breaking down organic substances, in a similar mechanism used in human respiration. This process can either be aerobic, in the presence of oxygen, where waste products are carbon dioxide and water, or anaerobic, without the presence of oxygen, where protons, electrons, and some inorganic molecules are produced. The fuel cell takes the electrons and then uses them to do work before transferring them to the electron acceptor reaction at the cathode, most commonly oxygen reduction. Microbes can either be electrochemically inactive, electrons are not released outside of the cell whilst metabolizing, or electrochemically active, electrons are taken into the cell or directly released from the cell. Electrochemically inactive microbes require a mediator, such as the chemical thionine, which is expensive and toxic. It's far cheaper and safer to use electrochemically active microbes in mediator-free MFCs. This type of bacteria is split into electrogens, bacteria which release electrons, and electrotrophs, bacteria which consume electrons. Electrogens are used as bioanodes in electricity and hydrogen-producing MFCs. Research completed by Penn State University has suggested that the most common microbes assisting in MFCs are similar in characteristic to the sulfur-reductant bacteria, Geobacter spp. These bacteria are naturally found in wastewater and natural wetlands such as bogs. Geobacter spp is a type of protobacteria capable of oxidizing a wide range of organic compounds and metals, including iron, radioactive material, and petroleum compounds. This makes them suitable for waste treatment as well as electricity generation. Electrogens transmit electrons either by using electron acceptors, nanowires, or by directly respiring electrons onto a surface. Geobacter spp can respire directly onto graphite electrodes and also use nanowires to transmit electrons between each other. Microbes can be used at the cathode to catalyze the reduction reaction. The most common use of this is in the use of methanogen to reduce CO2 and make methane. Methanogens are a species of archaea bacteria that live in anaerobic conditions, such as in bogs or in the human digestive system. As well as pure electricity production, MFCs can be used in hydrogen production and methane production. Hydrogen production MFCs use bioanodes to oxidize organic compounds and then reduce the protons which travel across the proton membrane. Methane MFCs use biocathodes to reduce carbon dioxide to make methane. Methane can then be used directly as a natural gas or in methane fuel cells, a technology being currently developed. The obvious use of MFCs are in waste treatment plants. Water treatment requires a huge amount of energy. MFCs can harvest some of the stored energy within the waste material and at the same time assist with breaking down organic molecules. Researchers at Bristol Biolab have developed an MFC cascade that runs off urine and is capable of charging mobile phones and lighting toilet facilities. It has been tested multiple years in a row at Glastonbury, a famous English music festival, with the aim to raise awareness about alternative electricity generation. Heavy metals cause severe environmental pollution. Conventional waste treatment for heavy metals are expensive and require a lot of energy. Metal ions can also be used as electron acceptors, meaning MFCs are not only useful for generating energy, but also for the removal of heavy metal ions from wastewater. The metal ions are reduced and deposited on the electrode, meaning valuable materials including uranium, silver, chromium, mercury, and copper can be recovered. This table summarizes different MFCs' ability to remove heavy metals from wastewater. The metals with the highest removal efficiency from the experiment included silver in 5 mmol silver sulfate, copper, and chromium. High power densities included the removal of chromium using both alumina nickel nanoparticles dispersed in a carbon nanofilter for the anode and cathode, which gave a 1540 milliwatt per meter squared power density, and using carbon felt anode with a carbon cloth cathode, which gave a 1221.94 milliwatts per meter squared power density. Chromium is highly carcinogenic, as well as classified as toxic and mutagenic, and is a major pollutant in environments around metal plating and tannery industries, so a cheap and efficient way of removing it from wastewater is of obvious benefit. MFCs cannot, however, remove all heavy metals. Metals with lower reduction potentials, i.e. zinc, nickel, and lead, cannot be spontaneously reduced. Researchers have experimented with combining two MFCs in series to increase voltage and remove metals with lower reduction potentials, with positive results. Another issue yet to be resolved is that heavy metals are also toxic to the microbes, resulting in quickly reduced performances. MFCs have been shown to function very well under lab conditions, but scaling the technology for use in industry has proved a great challenge. Because MFCs rely on graphite surface area to determine charge density, they are not directly scalable as the bulk of the fuel is not in contact with the electrode. Researchers at the Bristol Bioenergy Centre have used a cascade of MFCs, continuously pumping urine around 3 layers of MFC to increase power generation and stop any diffusion depletion regions occurring near the electrode, hoping to use the already existing water flow in waste treatment as the pumping mechanism in industry. Microbial fuel cells have great potential for use in industry as energy generation from waste production and for water treatment. It is a growth industry, and as governments come under more pressure to reach the UN climate goals and reduce the cost of energy, harvesting the large and most often wasted energy stored within waste will become a priority.